I'll make myself look smart. Alert.
Hi, Micro Farm Starter. And I'm trying to remember your name. It's Arshra. Arsher? Oh, Ms. K. Ms. K, that's right. Hi, Deborah.
Greetings.
Greetings, Earth people. Good to see you all here. Hey, out Overlook Valley Homestead. How is everybody doing tonight? Just kind of hanging out, waiting for other people to get on here. Where is everyone from? Oh, Overlook Valley's in Tennessee. What part of Tennessee are you in? East, west, central? Oregon.
Pretty country, hate the politics.
Oregon, I've never been to Oregon, but my husband had. He said it's pretty country up there. Looks like you guys were getting some rain today. Micro Farm, South Central Kentucky. We are in West Central Indiana. So we're not too far away, maybe 4 hours, something like that. I made a list of everything I was going to talk about. I've seen other people do that too. I thought it was a good idea because otherwise I'll forget what I want to talk about. So have you all gotten gardens planted and in and everything? I imagine Kentucky and Tennessee, you guys are golden. So we're still, it's gotten a lot warmer up here in Indiana, and we do have quite a bit of garden out. I've got 2 more beds that I need to plant, or actually 2.5 beds I need to plant. And then we've still got to plant our tomatoes and our corn, but I want to wait till it's just a little bit warmer. Hey, Bombs to Bushels.
How's the heat?
Guys having fun there in nice, warm Arizona. Oh, good, Micro Farm, Miss K. You're going to make some raised beds. We did that this year. We made, I think, how many did we make? 9 or 10?
10.5.
10.5, 9.5, somewhere around there, raised beds. We say half because one of them is only about maybe 18 inches, 2 feet wide, something like that. So we call that the half bed. But I planted a zucchini in there and I planted some radishes in there. So I thought, well, that was a good place. Yep, you're not going to be able to enjoy that heat for too long because it's going to get way too hot, Bombs to Bushels. I will not miss the summer in Arizona, but I miss it the rest of the year, definitely. So, and that was one of the things I was going to talk about tonight, how we came to Indiana. We just moved here in October of last year, and at the time we were living in Arizona, and my mom had passed away last June, and after my mom passed away, I decided it was time to get back home and be with my family because all my family lives here in West Central Indiana, East Central Illinois. So we were going to move this March, and I was out here for a visit, and Russell and I decided we'd just look at some houses, kind of see what's in our price range, what we could expect to get. And we found this property that we have now, and it was just perfect for us. So we ended up making it happen and moved here. We made an offer on it in September and moved here in October. So it was a quick turnaround, definitely, but it was worth it. So where do you plan on moving to, Bombs to Bushels? You gonna get out of the state or just out of Phoenix proper? And Deborah, you're doing everything in containers this year. That's good. Do you have a smaller property or just opting for containers? Overlook Valley. I've got some I don't have any of my moderators in here yet, so we're just running without for right now, but I'm not expecting any trouble. I don't know, that Bombs to Bushels, he might get a little wild, might have to kick him out or something.
Yeah, Micro Farm Starter, we went from 6 million in Phoenix to 252 people here in Newtown.
Yeah, we live in just a little tiny rural community, only 252 people, and we've got a third acre. So that's the name of our property, God's Third Acre. And so there were only like 2 trees on the property. There's a greenhouse here. There's a grain bin, a small grain bin for corn, because we have a corn stove in the house. And they also had a garden set up. And initially we thought the garden was over the septic field. And then, so we were building all these raised beds farther away from it. And then we found the septic tank, and we found the leach field. So we're good. So we're planting some in ground and some raised beds. So Bombs to Bushels, your top choice is Pennsylvania, Missouri, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Yep, those are good options. Ohio, you're going to have more of the winter to deal with and Pennsylvania than you would with like Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee. But those are all good homesteading states, definitely. Yeah, we're trying to make the most of the area we have. So we are, I've done gardening before. Russell hasn't really done too much gardening before.
I raised concrete.
Yep, he raised concrete. But I've done quite a bit of gardening. When I was a little girl, I'd help my dad, and I'd help my grandma and grandpa. And then when I had my own places, I had gardens as well. I had perennial gardens, and I also had vegetable gardens. But when I was in Arizona, even though you can garden there almost year round, I'd never had the time to do it. And anytime I tried to start something, it would die. So I just gave up and said I wasn't going to try to garden in Arizona. But that was fine. I didn't have time anyway, because I was working full time, and I had my daughter, and she had her little baby, and so I was helping to take care of him. So I was busy most of the time. So Kentucky is a nice area, the beautiful bluegrass state. Yep, Russell had hard work growing concrete.
Yep, just add water.
But so we've been here since October, about 8 months now, 7 months, something like that. And my dad and my brother and my sister live within 10 miles. So it's good to be close to all them. We go to church. Really nice to be here for that. Hi, Two Family. Hi, Sherry and Daryl. It's nice of you guys to be here. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and set you as a moderator because you said you'd help out. And I know you can't stay, so don't worry about it. But it was something I forgot to set up before you guys came in here. So I'll go ahead and do it now. So we do like it. We do like it in Indiana. I do miss Arizona though. Not the traffic, not the summertime heat. I miss the weather there though. And of course I miss all my friends there. But we do like it in Indiana. The winter was, I didn't think the winter would ever end, but it's kind of like Arizona. You never think the summer is going to end and get rid of that heat. But it's just, it's a trade-off. So instead of staying in all summer, I stay in all winter. So, hey, Soul Yates, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was just our luck. We moved back east on one of the coldest winters here in Indiana.
Yep. So we had a nice cold winter. We used our corn stove quite a bit. The stove that's in here, well, you can burn corn or wheat or rye. So, hi, Four Blessings Farm. Good to see you. So we were talking a little bit about how we got here, and we moved because of family. And this is our, for Russell, just almost the first time having a garden, but he's a great worker and he helps. He does a lot of the hard work because I can't get down on the ground and crawl around and everything because of my arthritis.
Yeah, I know enough about gardening to get in trouble.
So we'll go out and we'll look at the raised beds, and I'll say, "Oh, look, the green beans are coming up." And he said, "What's that? What's that?" He said, "They all look like weeds to me."
All weeds. Still, they start bearing fruit.
So to him, everything looks like a weed. But fortunately, I can tell him what's what in the garden and what's a weed and what's not. But in our raised beds, I probably planted too early, even though there were cold weather crops, but I planted some onions and peas and carrots and lettuce. And the peas, I had really poor germination on the peas. And so then I replanted some more later, and I had poor germination when I replanted as well. So I think it really didn't matter what time of year I planted the peas. It may have just been the seed. Next time I'm going to get them from M.I. Gardner or from Baker Creek or something like that.
Australia.
Yeah. So, hi, Edel.
You're international now.
I'm international. Who's from Australia?
Edel.
Oh, Edel. Glad you could stop by, Edel. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And Soul Yates, I'm trying to remember. Are you Jennifer or a Jessica? I'm probably remembering that wrong. But I'm trying to remember people's names. I don't know Bombs to Bushels name. Samantha. Oh yeah, I was really close. Jessica or Jennifer. Okay, yeah. Samantha. Soul Yates. Samantha. I'll try to remember. Adele. Okay. Thank you, Adele. I appreciate that. And Bombs to Bushels is Ed. And your wife is Jen at Four Blessings Farm. Okay. So I'm starting to get to know some of you guys' names, and I'll try to remember them. I like to call people by their names as much as I can instead of your screen name. But I'll do my best. But I will probably forget. I guess a lot of Eds and Jens around here. So, Ohio, you said it's still too wet to work in the garden. We've been able to get some stuff done here in Indiana. But, oh yes, and my name is Denise. I didn't say that. I'm Denise. This is Russell.
Hi, all.
I was covering his face. So Denise and Russell. Yeah, it's easier to remember the channel names because we read them all the time. Oh, from Darlington, Indiana. That is my grandpa was from close to that area. He was from the Ladoga area. So I know where that is. My grandpa used to I guess there was some kind of ice cream place in Darlington, and he would want to go there and have ice cream. So I know where that is. It's not too far from here, maybe an hour. So I said, this is Russell's pretty much first time gardening. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience. So what am I most excited about in my garden right now? Oh, your great-grandpa owned the land on, I'm sorry, squirrel. Your great-grandpa owned the land the covered bridge on Sugar Creek is on. So is that down by Turkey Run and Deers Mill and down in that area? That's the area my mom grew up in. So small world. Because I think Sugar Creek is the one that runs through Turkey Run. And that's a really nice place to go camping, and they have a great lodge there as well. But sorry, Samantha, I'll go back to your question. What am I most excited about in my garden? For me, it's exciting just seeing the plants germinate and starting to see those little plants pop out of the ground. We looked out there yesterday, and I looked at the two beds where I had planted beans. One of them I planted dragon's tongue bean, and the other one I planted just a green bean. And they still hadn't germinated, and I was starting to get kind of depressed because they hadn't come up. Not depressed, but disappointed that they hadn't germinated yet, and the zucchini hadn't germinated yet. And today we walked out, and overnight I have bean plants that are like an inch tall that just popped up overnight. They were not germinating yesterday, but they came up overnight. So that was exciting. I'm excited to try some of the new varieties from listening to Roots and Refuge. Just learning about all the new heirloom varieties, or not new, but all the heirloom varieties that I could start from seed rather than just buying, a Jet Star or a Better Boy or an Early Girl tomato plant. So this was my first year to start seeds ever. I've planted seeds in the ground, like beans and cucumbers and squash and zucchini, and but I never started seeds in a seed tray or in anything to plant out in the garden. So this was my first time. So that's exciting for me. So I'm growing mortgage lifter tomatoes and opalka tomatoes, and I got those seeds from M.I. Gardner. And what else did I get? Dragon's tongue beans. So I thought those looked pretty cool. So I'm excited about growing the things that I've actually started from seeds. Oh no, Sherry, walking in the garden, your feet sink 2 inches. Oh, well, hopefully it's going to be dried out. It's been dry here for a couple of days, so you should be getting that same weather. And I don't think it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
No, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, we got 3 or 4 days dry weather, so hopefully you're going to get that too, Sherry. So Adele, you grow mostly potatoes and pumpkins. Yeah, we did plant some pumpkins this year. I don't think I've ever done pumpkins before. We planted one little hill of pumpkins, one of butternut squash, and one of pink banana squash. And we are doing the Ruth Stout method for planting potatoes. So basically, there was the people that we bought the house from, they had plastic down over a lot of the area that they used for garden. So we covered up one section of the plastic with some composted grass there was this huge pile of grass, like 4 feet tall at least. And it must have been the grass they collected from the whole year last year. But some of it down inside had composted really well. So we piled that up there, laid the potatoes up on top of it, and then put hay on top of it. And as the potato plants are growing, we keep adding, or I should say Russell keeps adding more hay to the potato plants. So I'm excited. Let's see, emergency admission. Oh no. Okay, so we will do that. We'll pray for Sarah Catherine, your daughter, and the baby, Adeline. We will do that, Anna. Just pray that those lungs develop and that the baby is okay and that the mama's okay too. Whoops. That's our watchdogs. A spiral raised bed. That sounds really interesting, Deborah. I bet that's going to be beautiful. I'm trying to catch up on your comments over here. Yeah, you'd think they'd have more sense than to bury their garden tractors when they were mowing. Hey, Searching Sabrina. Thank you for being here, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if any of you are interested in the Ruth Stout method, our potatoes are like 2 feet tall already.
Yeah, our potatoes are doing really well. And those I planted early too. I think I planted them I put them down in March. So, I think I jumped the gun on some of the stuff, but it didn't hurt it. It's just been slower growing. So like my lettuce, my lettuce is still only about this big, and it's been in the ground for about 2 months, I think. It's just not growing very fast. The carrots are just now starting to get up where they're about this big too, even though they've been in the ground longer. Have a good evening, Sherry and Daryl. Bye, Adele. Thank you for stopping in. Someday I hope to come see your country, your continent. That would be really cool. So in addition to our gardens here, we also have 6 chickens. It's the first time I've had chickens or that Russell's had chickens. So yeah, Anna, I'll be thinking about you. Let me know later how things are going. Yeah, Overlook Valley, do you mind if I set you as a moderator? Okay, Overlook Valley, I'm going to set you as a moderator. I appreciate your help. If I can do it here. There we go. Okay, 4 blessings. I appreciate that. Thank you, Overlook Valley. Let's see. Ed, Overlook Valley. Sarah. I'm trying to remember. Ed and Sarah? I think. I should write all this down. That would serve me better. So, Samantha wanted to know if I had names for my chickens. Of course I have names for my chickens.
Crock pot, deep fried, tenders.
Don't listen to him. We said if they weren't good, we would change their names to crock pot and fricassee and deep fried. But we have a barred rock that I'd been calling Rocky from the beginning, because when I put the pictures up on the chicken website that I was, or the chicken Facebook group that I was a part of, they said, "Oh, that looks like a roo. That's a roo." So I just been calling it Rocky, but I kept thinking, well, maybe it's not a rooster. I don't know. I looked at some, sorry, the dog is shaking the table. I looked at some pictures of some barred rock, and it still looked like a hen, I thought. So the other day, Russell came in and woke me up, and he hands me his phone, and he said, "Push play." And I pushed play, and it was Rocky crowing. So he's definitely a rooster. He was supposed to be a girl, but I was read somewhere that usually when you buy your chickens online, or not online, but go to like Tractor Supply or someplace like that, that's about 75 to 90% accurate. Well, we got one that was within that 10 to 25% of inaccuracy. So, okay, good night, Ed. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. So the barred rock is Rocky, and then we have Blanche, the Brahma, and because she's fancy, she's got her feathery feet, so her name's Blanche. And then we have a Rhode Island Red that's named Flo because she was noisy. She was a noisy redhead, so I named her Flo. And then we have Maxine, who's Plymouth Rock Blue. And who else am I forgetting? We've got Betty, the Australorp, and Golden, the Buff Orpington. So they were just kind of some funny names I came up for. Golden was named by my best friend back in Arizona. She said, "Which chicken do I get to name?" And she told me, "The little yellow one. Her name is Golden." I said, "Okay." So we call her Goldie sometimes. But it's fun to watch them. I love watching the chickens just flap around. And last night I took out some scraps from inside, and there were a few grapes and some strawberry tips and some lettuce leaves and stuff like that. So I took them out, and when I go out, I call them. I go, "Chick, chick, 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 chick," and they come running to see what I've got. So I threw those in there, and it was so funny last night watching the Chicken Vision. We have 2 chairs out by the chicken coop, so we'll sit out there and we'll watch them. And the one chicken, like Golden, got the strawberry tip, and all the other chickens were chasing her around trying to take the strawberry away from her. And then one other one got a grape, and then the chickens were chasing that one around trying to get the grape, even though there were more grapes on the ground. So we had a good laugh out of that last night, watching them run around, chase each other. So Sol Yates, or Samantha, you've got your garden out already, I think. You're in in North Carolina, right? I know you used to be a teacher. My brother, I've been off work for over a year now, and my brother sent me a message saying that the school in town needs a K through 12 vocal music teacher, and that's what I taught in school. He said, this would be perfect for you. I don't know if you're interested. So now I've been having dreams about going back to work and being a vocal music teacher. So I don't know if you call them dreams or nightmares. Sometimes they turn into nightmares more than dreams. But I do miss the kids. I don't miss the job, definitely. Oh, you're in a weird transition. Yeah, I know. We talked about that before, Samantha. There's just so much going on in the public school system right now, and I don't miss I don't miss the job, but I do miss getting to know the kids. And I mean, the job was at times was fun, but I think I was my own worst enemy because I turned it into a much bigger job than it should have been. But I just wanted the kids to have the experiences that I thought would make them well-rounded as musicians and as people. So there were lots of things that I did so that they could have those experiences. Oh, you're very welcome, Mark and Sarah. I appreciate having you as a moderator. Oh, you taught Title I. I taught music for 10 and a half years. And I also taught technology, and I did theater arts with the kids as well. So we put on musicals. I usually do a musical every year with the kids. So that was a lot of fun because I mean, it was a lot of work, definitely, and it was an after-school thing, but so you're talking about teaching Title I and at-risk students. My grandson that I helped raise when he was little, this weekend I'm going to St. Louis with my daughter and him, and we're going to a walk for Angelman syndrome. I don't know if either of you have heard of that before, but it's a rare genetic disorder that he has. And so they're having a special walk for Angelman to help raise money. So I'm going to go be a part of that on Saturday over in St. Louis. So I'm not looking forward to the drive, but it'll be good. They also have walks going on in Phoenix and Chicago and Indianapolis and lots of or San Diego, lots of larger towns have the Angelman Walk. But if you want to look up about it, it's called Angelman. It's spelled Angel, Angelman syndrome. But he's my sweet little guy. Do we plan to add any other animals besides chickens?
I keep trying to talk her into rabbits.
Yeah.
And maybe a beehive.
He would like to do a beehive, which I'm open to having bees. And he wants to do meat rabbits, but I've got to get past they're too cute to eat before we can have meat rabbits. So their little bunnies are just so cute. So I don't know, I guess cows are cute too, but I don't butcher the cow. I buy it at the grocery store. But
Well, you wouldn't be butchering the rabbits either.
no, I wouldn't be butchering the rabbits either. He would be butchering the rabbits because I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I don't know. They're just so sweet and fuzzy and yeah, the rabbits are good for the garden. Definitely the manure is because I think it's isn't it rabbit manure that you can use straight away? You don't have to wait for it to.
They can go straight onto the garden.
Yep, go straight to the garden and. Yep, so that would be good. I had talked at one time about maybe trying to have a goat, but we really don't have the room. We do have a 1/3 acre, but it's just the way things are laid out and the way we've got things fenced off. We really just don't have the room for a goat. We had a goat when I was growing up, Gertie the goat, and I remember coming home, that darn goat, Dad would tie her up, and we'd come home from somewhere and she'd be standing on the front porch. She would have chewed through her rope so she could get loose, and she'd be standing up on the front porch waiting for us to come home. So Dad eventually got rid of her. But dogs see anything go by outside and then they start to bark. Yep. I saw when I was mowing today, I went by we're surrounded on 2 sides by cornfield. So, or what was left of the cornfield from last year. So when I drove by the cornfield, there was a rabbit that jumped out and took off running. And I guess there were a bunch of rabbits out there the other night because my dog was looking out the window and just going crazy, watching the rabbits. So we've got 3 dogs. We've got a Rottweiler, who's Jade, and she's the one you hear barking most of the time. And then we have Duke, the little Chihuahua mix, who's the one that always barks right after Jade barks, because, he doesn't want to be left out. And then we have Sasha, who's an Australian Shepherd mix. And she's usually pretty quiet unless someone walks up to the door, and then she'll bark then. But she usually stays pretty quiet. But one thing I did today, I was going to tell y'all too. I got my first harvest from the garden. The people who had lived here before us had started planting things. They had planted blackberries, and it was just beautiful all the way around the front porch. Jade, the chickens are out there. So our neighbor has 6 chickens as well, and they free range. So when Jade sees the chickens outside, she has to bark at them. So we're gonna shut the front door. Shut the front door and keep the dog from barking. But now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, my first harvest. So they had planted blackberries. I think they're blackberries, either blackberries or raspberries. But they had also planted rhubarb. And so today I harvested the rhubarb. There's some that has the big stems, which kind of the traditional rhubarb that you think of. And then there's some that have really small stems that are about the size of like green onions. They're just really small stems. They're still the same shape, kind of like a D almost, but just really small. So I pulled a bunch of the large stem, and I ended up with 12 cups of rhubarb after I diced it all up. And then I got enough of the small rhubarb I made just a little over a cup of jam.
And it was good.
And it's good. It's still good. So with the rhubarb, I put 2 packages in the freezer, and I'm giving 1 package to my dad because he really wants some rhubarb. But I'll probably make a rhubarb pie or maybe some rhubarb bread or cake. I've got several rhubarb recipes. So maybe in the fall I'll make that. There's still more out there to pull, but I'm waiting before I pull the rest of it. Rhubarb, Mark and Sarah, rhubarb is tart. Um, and it's kind of reminiscent of celery, the way it looks, except where celery has the dip in it, rhubarb is solid. But it is so good. It's tart by itself. A lot of times you'll mix it with strawberries, so they'll make like strawberry rhubarb pie or strawberry rhubarb jam. But I just did mine plain. But you have to put sugar or something with it. Yeah, you can make cobbler with it too. I love it. I love it. It just has a very unique taste. It's good with strawberry. There's one recipe I saw that mixed it with strawberry or not strawberry, rhubarb and orange juice. So that was for jam. So I'd like to maybe try that recipe someday. I don't know that I'm going to have enough left to make a batch of jam. Probably if I hadn't frozen all this. Then I could have made a big batch of jam, but I didn't feel like doing all that today. I was lucky to get it pulled and washed and cut up and put in bags to freeze.
Yeah, the rhubarb has a slight, like dill pickle taste to it.
Now, I don't
lemon.
I don't get the dill pickle taste.
Yeah, it's kind of tart sour.
It is kind of sour tart.
But it won't make your lips pucker.
Nope. But I put just a little bit of lemon juice in with it and sugar. So I had I probably had maybe close to 2 cups of rhubarb of the little stems. I cooked that down because that didn't take that long. And I put maybe, half a cup, 3/4 cup of sugar on top of it and a little bit of lemon juice to let it cook down, and then I just put it in a jar and put it in the refrigerator. So I didn't go through the whole process of canning it. But it's very tasty. We had it on a couple of Hawaiian rolls, and it was really good.
Yes, and today was the first time I've had rhubarb. So
yeah,
it tasted good.
Russell's never had it before. He says if he can get it past his nose, then he'll eat it.
Try to get it past the nose.
So what's your you said you had a little windowsill experiment going on, Samantha. What are you doing? And rhubarb, when you cook it up too, it's stringy. It can be a little stringy. So do we have poke salad? I have not had poke salad. I've heard of it before, and but I've never had it. So what is poke salad? Oh, I hope those grow, Samantha. That would be nice for you to have some little plants. I was so surprised when my seeds actually germinated when I was trying to do seed starts. And oh yeah, they got to find that balance of the water. I still have several trays of plants out in the greenhouse. I've got 2 trays of tomatoes. I've got I think 30 tomato plants out there. No, more than that, 35 tomato plants. So it tastes like spinach. Now we do, when I was growing up, my dad would do dandelion greens, but I've never heard of the poke salad. I mean, I've heard of it. I've just never had it before. And that's down in Kentucky or Tennessee. Let's see, you guys are from Tennessee. Yep. Oh, Deborah grew up in Texas. Yeah, I've heard of it. That's just like pawpaws. I'd always heard of pawpaws. I've never had them though. And Rose on Wholesome Roots said that they would grow in my area, so I may try to get some pawpaw seeds and try to grow some. I don't know if they're trees or bushes or what. Oh, good, Samantha, you got pawpaw seeds. Yep, Deborah, the fireflies, although I grew up calling them lightning bugs. I saw something on Facebook where they were talking about, you know, what part of the country you were from, depending on what you called them, if you called them fireflies or lightning bugs. So, yeah, I've never had pawpaws either. I've just heard about it. I remember singing about it when I was in grade school, picking up pawpaws, put them in your pocket, way down yonder in the pawpaw patch. So I always remembered that. And then when I saw someone was actually growing them, I thought, well, that would be really cool to grow some. And I planted at one of our local, I think it was at Rural King, they had elderberries. So I got a couple of elderberry plants, and well, they were sticks, elderberry sticks, and I was amazed. They were just stuck in the dirt, and all the little shoots were coming off of that stick growing up. So we planted two. One of them is still doing okay. The other one, I think the birds came and snipped off the leaves. We keep losing the leaves on the other little ones. So I think birds keep coming and snipping those leaves off. So today we went out on top of mowing the yard and picking rhubarb. We went out and I bought some little mini loaf pans, the aluminum ones. They were on clearance somewhere. And so I took them and punched holes in them, and we ran string through them and stapled them to some wooden stakes and pounded them in out around the garden so that they're blowing in the wind to keep the birds away. And then Russell had the idea of taking one of the Mylar blankets, like a survival blanket, and cutting it into strips and tying the strips. So our garden out there looks like a Vegas show or something.
Yeah, anybody that's been in Southern California through the almond groves will know what I'm talking about.
So kind of looks like a Vegas show out there. There's all these Mylar strips blowing in the wind, and the aluminum pans are blowing in the wind, and I've got some whirligigs out there blowing around some of the little pinwheel things. So I'm just trying to keep the birds away from the plants until they can get big enough to actually make it past germination. But I would like to try some pawpaws. Never had them before. And then I think next spring I'm going to order some elderberries from, there are a couple of different families that do the elderberries. I know Broussards do them, and also I think it's I can't remember if it's Trip H Farms. I think it was Trip H Farms. I can't remember for sure. It's either that one or one other one that they have. He also did shows how to grow fodder. I think he's got two different varieties of the elderberries. Yeah, thank you, Searching Sabrina. I thought it was Trip H Farms. But he actually knows the varieties, and I was reading about it. It's better if you have two different varieties of the elderberries for them to pollinate and everything. Kind of like if you plant an apple tree, you really need another apple tree somewhere in the area to help cross-pollinate that. Sabrina, where do you guys live? I can't remember. I know I've watched some of your videos, but I can't remember where you guys live. Do you guys have any other questions? Oh, Central Arkansas. Okay. I lived in Mississippi for a while and would go over to I forgot the name of the town. There was some place in Arkansas I used to go over to. But I lived for a summer, I lived in the Eureka Springs area and worked there. But it's a pretty state. Arkansas is a nice state. So I was talking about my greenhouse. Out of my greenhouse, I've got 2 trays full of tomatoes. And I've got one tray, I've got like 15 pepper plants that I started from seeds that I took out of peppers that I bought at the grocery store. And I was so excited when those things germinated. So I've got those, and I've got the seeds that I planted, just regular seeds. I planted bell pepper and I planted sweet cherry peppers. I only had 1 sweet cherry pepper make it and only 4 bell peppers. So I'm trying to get them. They're like this big. They're really tiny. They just didn't, I think the soil I put them in was too heavy. So the seeds just didn't germinate very well, or the stuff just wasn't growing very well. And I was kind of afraid to move them because the plants were so small. But I finally did move some of the plants into bigger pots, and they just took off. And I used a lighter soil too, more. It was a lot lighter potting mix, and so that helped a lot. And they've just really taken off. Hey, Sarah, taking over for Mark. I really appreciate you all being here tonight and sticking with me. It's been really nice talking to you guys. Oh, you planted winter squash from store produce. We'd always have, when I was a kid, we had 10 acres, and we had about probably a quarter acre that was our garden. Excuse me. And we would get all summer long, it was snapping beans and doing tomatoes, and my grandparents had fruit trees, so we'd be doing fruit trees. Well, my dad would just take the seeds. I remember he took all the seeds and everything, the skins and the seeds from the peaches, and he'd just throw them out back behind the garage. Well, then pretty soon we had peach trees growing up from the seeds that he had thrown out there. So, you never know. I had my friend in Arizona, she took a tomato from the grocery store, and she sliced it in thin slices that had the seeds in them and just laid it in the dirt, and she grew tomato plants that way. So it's just amazing to me that, I don't know why we think the seeds wouldn't germinate, but I guess they will. Thank you, Sabrina. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. So yeah, we've been going almost an hour. Hard to believe. I appreciate everybody that came tonight and hung out with me. I know it was kind of early for folks, so next time I do a live, I'm going to try to do one a little bit later and see if that would be better. If I can do one closer to like 8 o'clock Central or Eastern time, then that'd be 7 o'clock Central. But if y'all don't have any more questions, we can go ahead and sign off for tonight. Oh my goodness. Give chickens the tomatoes, they'll grow in the droppings. I'm glad you were able to be here too, Samantha. You too, Deborah. Yes, I didn't even say why I was doing this. It was to celebrate our first 100 subscribers. I said when we got 100 subscribers, I'd do a live. So
Yep. And now we're looking for 500.
now we're now we're shooting for. I'm just shooting for people that I feel like if I'm putting out content that people want to look at, and that subscribers will come. So I'm not gonna worry about that. If God wants it to happen, it'll happen. I bet those were good tomato plants growing up out of the chicken manure. So thank you all for being here tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and beautiful gardening weather coming up. So y'all take care. Thanks again.
Have a good evening, all.
Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, Mark and Sarah, for being a moderator for me. Bye, Samantha.